Hello, I am Tina of Tina Weiland Fitness, and if you clicked on this video, you are probably looking for some anti-burnout tips for your fitness routine, and that's exactly what we're going to be uncovering today. So with your fitness routine, you build up a good schedule, right? You might be working out 4, 5, even 6 days a week. Your eating is perfect, and then you just keep holding it at that intensity, and maybe even the weights, you're progressing with the weights keep going up and up and up. But when do you get a break? When does this stop? Well, that's where my anti-burnout tips come in, because we can't just keep going up forever without a little bit of maintenance or a little bit of rest or just simply a change in the way that we do things. And that's what I'm going to be explaining in today's video. Before we dive into the tips, I do want to say that I am an online health and fitness nutrition coach, and I am doing a 6-week fitness and nutrition challenge beginning towards the end of September. And if you want all of the details, because the way I teach is going to be very similar to the types of tips that I'm giving you today, very applicable, very great to integrate with everyday life. I don't do any extremes. I don't do very black and white, all or nothing, give 110% drill sergeant stuff. That's not me. It's a very realistic, enjoyable approach. So if you want more details on that, just join the waitlist below to be the first to know about the challenge and get exclusive offers and freebies with that. But all right, let's dive in. So my first tip for you, that may be the most obvious for those of you that know what this is to incorporate a deload week. So what's a deload week? A deload week is essentially a week of training that's going to be a lower intensity of the same workout that you're doing. So generally, people follow a templated program where they might be doing something for 4 to 6 weeks at a time, and the days and workouts are generally the same. Some accessory movements might be switched up to just keep things interesting, but if you're doing a squat or a bench or a deadlift or whatever it is, you generally keep that the same. The rep patterns and rep schemes are the same, but the goal is to gradually increase weight, right? So from week 1 to week 4, maybe you added 5 pounds to your squat or something like that. Well, you were training so hard those 4, 5, 6 weeks, it's usually good protocol to add in a deload week. So that deload week, we might drop the RPE, or rate of perceived exertion, which is usually on a scale of 1 to 10. Let's say for most of the program, you're working at maybe a 7 or 8 out of 10. For deload week, we might be working at a 4 or 5. So if you maxed out at 100 pounds for your squat, maybe we're gonna do around 50 or 60 pounds. So it's not meant to feel difficult, but you're still getting a workout in, you're getting the reps in, you're getting the movement in, you are feeling the muscles working, but it really gives your body a break. And it's essentially like an easier week, a deload, if you will. Now you can do deload weeks in this fashion, the typical training, usually 4 weeks, and then that 5th week is a deload, then you progress onto a new kind of cycle of training. But you can also just take that week off or 2 all together. I actually knew a power lifter where every quarter out of the year, he would actually take 2 full weeks off of lifting, and he was a beast. He lifted really heavy, he made great progress, and in those 2 weeks, like I said, he just relaxed, kind of ate what he wanted, took a break, and when he came back in to do his next quarter of training, he killed it. So this is going to depend person to person. Some people just love the movement, they can't sit still, they don't want the rest, so the deload week might be a better option for you. If you're somebody that maybe you do literally just need that week off, 2 weeks off to really just rest, recover, and reset, that might be the other option too. Play around with it, see what's best for you, but I can guarantee you a deload week will prevent that burnout with your fitness routine for sure. Let's move on to tip 2. So tip 2 is to consider breaking up your training into phases. And what I mean by that is that you can maybe have a chunk of time focused on certain goals. If we're kind of new to our fitness journeys, or we follow what kind of mainstream fitness says, it's kind of like you're either just bulking and you're pounding all this food, lifting heavy, or you're cutting and you're starving yourself, eating vegetables, chicken, broccoli, rice, and doing hours of endless cardio. This is not how it works for general lifestyle clients who you are probably watching. That's your goal, just kind of to be a little bit healthier, lose a couple extra pounds, feel better in your skin, all those fun things. So this is where these phases are really going to help you out. So a good example of this could be, let's say we do 12 weeks, 12 to even 16 weeks of training. So maybe the months leading up to summer, when the warmer weather is, you're going to be wearing more revealing clothing, you're going to be wearing bikinis and bathing suits. You want to look a little bit more shredded. Okay, so we are going to focus on more of a cut during that period of time. So maybe it's going to be up until about March or April. That's when we're going to be following that cut protocol. So we're going to be doing higher reps, a little bit more cardio. We're going to, eat a little bit less, maybe incorporate some volume foods like vegetables and fruits, lots of lean proteins. Okay. Summer is here. We kind of want to maintain the progress that we have, but we also want to enjoy it a little bit. So maybe for the summer leading into a little bit of the fall, we kind of take the maintenance route. We bring our calories up just a little bit to maintenance, so we might add on like plus or minus 3 to 5 pounds, but nothing too noticeable. We're eating a little bit more food, enjoying ourselves, not stressing about counting calories. Movement is going to be kayaking, walking. We still get to the gym a couple times a week, but we're in that maintenance chill phase. And then maybe for winter, leading back into that kind of spring cycle again right before our cut season, we're going to do more of a bulk, if you will, but nothing too crazy. If you're a female, if you're a guy, it's a little bit different hormone wise, but we're going to be pushing a little bit more food, especially with the holidays. We're going to be, eating more food, so it'll work out naturally. We're wearing baggy sweatshirts and sweatpants so we can stand to put on a little bit of weight here, and we get to lift heavy and enjoy being strong and focus on strength. And it's not necessarily going to be a ton of fat gain, but we're going to really just focus on building strength, gaining muscle to lead up to that cut phase. So do you see how breaking it into phases can keep things interesting for you? And you can kind of work it around your schedule. That's why most people tend to bulk during times like the winter, because they know that their bodies are going to be covered up more. The holidays are here, so you're going to be eating more food. It is colder out, so our bodies naturally want more fat storage to stay warmer. There's a lot of weird things that go into it. But aside from something like a bulk cut maintain cycle, you can also just do it based off of what you feel. Maybe you're going through a particularly stressful time in your life. It's busier. Maybe you're in college, or you just became a nurse, or your schedule changed, or you had a baby. There's all kinds of different reasons, and maybe that needs you to draw things back. Maybe you have a higher stress time in your life and you're like, well, I'm going to cut back to maybe strength training 2-3 times a week, and then I'm going to do 2 classes of yoga so I get some stretching in, that I get to relax, I get to focus more on mindset, mental de-stressing, right? And then maybe there's a time where you're pissed off, you just broke up with your boyfriend, and you just want to like throw on some heavy metal and start like lifting the weights and like outlift your ex-boyfriend, right? So it just all kind of depends. So assess your life, see where you're at, and see what you want to do, and have fun with it. Next tip is to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Sorry, that was like super white of me. But check yourself before you wreck yourself. And what I mean by that is, let's say that we're in that cycle again of pushing, doing more weight, just really not even caring about our form because we're just so into our routine and so set on like, I need to up the weight this time. Maybe it's time to step back. Life has changed. We're busier. We can't put as much intention into our workouts. Maybe we need to step back, lower the weight, focus on form, focus on recovery, different things like that. So make sure to consistently check in with yourself. Maybe you can set a reminder on your phone every 4 weeks to kind of check in and just say, hey, like, how's everything going? Is this still working for me? Do I need to change things up? This is actually what I do with my clients in my online coaching, is we do check-in forms. Whether you do weekly check-ins with me, or maybe you have a lower touch option where we only do monthly check-ins, but at the bare bones, you're checking in with me at least once a month. It's your chance to give me feedback on how your program's going, how your nutrition's going. Did anything change in your life? Do we need to adjust? Can we keep it the same? So that's super important. And number 4 is going to be prioritizing recovery. So as you can see, I'm on my stretching mat here, but recovery is so much more than stretching or just getting enough sleep. Recovery can mean so many different things. It's really just giving your body the rest, self-care, mental health deload that it needs to properly build back and repair everything that you did to it while you were working out, because we're tearing all the muscle fibers, creating a lot of inflammation, lactic acid buildup, and it allows us to repair back better. I always say that you should recover as hard as you train. I always give the analogy of like an Olympic athlete. An Olympic athlete, sometimes they train 2 to 4 hours a day, even more than that during peak season, right? But what you don't see is that they have a whole professional team of recovery behind them. You have a physical therapist, probably a deep tissue massage therapist, a sports therapist. You have somebody stretching them. You have a professional chef cooking them nutritious meals to help repair their body back stronger. They're doing ice baths, any recovery technique in the book on top of their intense training. So they really balance things out. So keep in mind and take an assessment of your current workout routine with how hard you're pushing. Do you feel like you recover just as hard? Maybe you need to adjust those things. And lastly, the last tip I want to talk about is prioritizing your mental health, because health and fitness is on a spectrum. I almost like to think of it like an octopus. There's different segments, and a big part of this, aside from physical fitness and nutrition, is going to be mental health and wellness. If our mind isn't in it and our mind isn't right, that's going to affect everything else. Just like if there's another tentacle on my octopus that's off or wrong or not right, it's going to affect the whole octopus, right? So with mental health, make sure you're prioritizing that. That's another huge thing that I focus on with healthy boundary setting, making sure you have a strong support system in your fitness network. And if you don't have that at home or you don't have any friends, it might be worth it to check out like a Facebook group or something. I actually have a Facebook group. It's called Busy Women Fitness Driven. It's a great group of supportive women where we always share tips, funny memes. If you want to join, you can join below. If you like me, you're going to like the vibe. But finding a good community, whether it be online or in person, venturing out, maybe trying a sport as a hobby or a yoga studio where you can meet more like-minded people, that's a great option too. So just keep in mind that mental health is just as important as physical health. But all right, guys, that sums up the tips for anti-burnout in your fitness journey. I hope you enjoyed. If you learned something, I'd really appreciate if you subscribe. And if you have any other tips or you want to share some experiences that you've had in your fitness journey related to burnout, feel free to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear and chat with you. But that's all for now, guys. Bye.